This is firstoffthebike.com's TriCafe, proudly presented by Team Degani Cycling Cafe. Got the usual suspects with us again this week. We've got Dan Hoy from the Herald Sun, local raconteur and professional triathlete Mitch Anderson.
Guten Tag.
Is also here with us. Thanks again for joining us. Some big things to come out of Geelong 70.3. Obviously the Crowe victory was one, which we'll come to, but Clayton Fattal, my goodness, what a great effort.
Clayton, I'm a little bit in love with you. In fact, I wish you were my love child. The way you went out and you actually swam well, I mean, that's the bit that I really want. And then you biked like dynamite. And look, I have to say, as far as swim, bike, run goes, it was an excellent performance.
Yeah, it's interesting that you say that. We'll be talking a little bit about the whole drafting and pacing efforts a bit later on, but certainly Clayton Fattal was great. But the other big story was Crowe, and boy, when he says he's 80%, he's having a bit of a laugh.
It's a pretty good 80%, isn't it? I mean, he said at the press conference after he was maybe 90, 95% off Kona, which is ridiculously fit. But surprisingly, were you surprised, Mitch, that nobody like Griffell, Burple went away from Crowe and look, tried to get away from it?
I thought the tactics in the race were extremely interesting. I would have thought that prior to the race, they would have spoken with their respective coaches and support staff about going off the front and trying to get rid of Crowe. Because if they don't tag him on the bike, he's going to win 99% of races. And Chris Lieto knows that. So I just think that even though maybe they were just trying to race for the podium, I don't know. That's what it looked like.
But people say Crowe's not the big biker that everyone else is, but he seems just to be able to sit and hang in there and do the right things to make himself right for the run.
Look, if they really wanted to get rid of him, they needed to work him over, and I suspect that the likes of Griffo could get away, but I don't know about anyone else. So I think Griffo's a really strong biker, but for Burkle, he just needs to sit and wait and kick on the run.
And talking about Tim Burkle, talking about Leon Griffin, and also you can throw Smoke and your favourite Smoke and Joe Gamble's in there as well. Pete Jacobs, another one, who these guys are just knocking on the door of this top echelon of triathletes. And how good can they be, do you think?
Well, that's what we were talking about before. The amount of 70.3 races.
26.
They can go and have a couple of big wins.
That's 26. Oh, sorry.
That's 26 in the States.
No, it's not 26 in the States, sorry. There's 29 Ironman and 70.3 races in the States.
It's a pretty big menu for those guys to choose from, and certainly they are getting stronger and stronger. And
it makes it realistic for them to make a living out of it. That they can go over there and race in those races, get the sponsorship.
They can race every second weekend if they want to.
And all they need to do is just pick the ones that they like and the courses that suit them, and there are plenty of them for those sort of opportunities. But another opportunity for us to take a look at what Mitch is going to have a rant about later on in the program. Coming up after this break, though, we're going to take a look at the dreaded D-word drafting. We're going to talk about what's going on with it, how can we possibly solve it, and who might be involved in it.
Don't get me started.
Team Degani Cycling Cafe will be opening at the end of February at the Docklands for your triathlon and cycling needs.
Welcome back to firstoffthebike.com's TriCafe, proudly presented by Team Degani Cycling Cafe, opening down at the Docklands at the end of February. Can't wait for that. It's going to be a cracking shop. Drafting is something that has reared its head again. We talked about it all last year. It seemed all we did was write about it, and now Geelong, certainly, it has made a massive comeback. Mitch, you saw it, you've talked about it already, about the pacing. Obviously, no one's a fan of it because it brings the sport down, but it's something that we've been talking about. I reckon I had this same conversation in 1989.
We need a culture change. Essentially, there's only two ways the sport can go from here. It's legalise it or treat it as the scourge that it is and wipe it out like the Black Plague. We need to do one of the two. And at the minute, we're in that little grey area. Should we wipe the rats out? I don't know. We need to get rid of the rats, and then we need to start making the hard calls every race. And I have to admit, I've seen a suggestion about the paid drafting police. I'm up for that. I'd pay an extra $5 to have professional referees who come up and they get paid for their calls, because at the minute there's zero accountability.
You know, we were talking about this, about a paid crew of TOs, technical officials, and Dan, you know, Mitch is right. You pay a little bit of a levy. You get a professional crew there who aren't afraid to give a red, yellow, whatever they need to move people on, and are actually kitted out correctly, so they can talk to the athletes on the road. They're not screaming at them, and then they've got something to present if something's going wrong.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. It beats me why you'd enter an event, you know the rules, and then you break the rules. At the age group level, the feeling out there was people rolling around going, you know what? They're not going to bust anyone, so I'm just going to keep rolling around in this group. And there's 35 age groupers that rode 2:15.
Yeah,
That's not a coincidence.
That's a bunch split. That's maybe
like
there was a sprint for the line.
It's like a cycling race broke out in the middle of a triathlon.
And it's a shame.
Disgrace.
Well, because the course is tough though. It's a tough biking course.
Yes, I rode 2:13 there 2 years ago.
And so what's the solution? People are saying, do we need to lower the amount of laps that you do? So to 2-lap courses.
Make it longer.
I still think that there needs to be some gaps need to be formed by proactive drafting officials. So they need to be absolutely vigilant, saying, okay, that's not 7 metres, it needs to be 10 metres, a draft zone, and then saying that's not 10 metres, that's not 10 metres, and pinging people, because as soon as people start realising that the rules are going to be policed, they'll start complying.
And so that's the thing. It was groups of 5 across. It was just massive packs. It was ridiculous.
And so what do we do then in terms of penalties? Do we start saying we disqualify people? Do we give them time penalties, stop-go penalties? What would be fitting?
Penalties are fine. The penalties are fine as they are. They're just not being put in place. So in a race where there's 12 to 1,500 people, there should be people cramming into the tents, the drafting tents, especially on the day like it was. There should have been people just overflowing out of the tents, spewing that they've been penalised.
I reckon I saw probably 3 all day.
Well, we've tried to get some information out of the relevant authorities, none forthcoming at the moment, but something that we've been looking forward to for the entire show and for the entire week since we conceptualised it at a drunken team meeting. Mitch Anderson will be talking really about some of the issues that are facing the sport. And Mitch,
I feel like the Incredible Hulk. Don't get me started. Okay, I've referenced the Herald Sun today. Steve from Melbourne, this Don't Get Me Started is for you. He made a comment today about Kingston banning parking cars, the city of Kingston, between 6 and 10 Saturday and Sunday and Monday evening. Now, I quote, "Great, the like-wearing idiots who are untrained, unlicensed, uninsured and pay nothing towards the roads they want to hog, and who I bet will kill another pedestrian this year." That was what he said. Steve, I might wear my spandex on Saturday and Sunday mornings, but funnily enough, I don't fly to dinner. I get in the car, I drive, I pay my licence fees, and I pay insurance. Who knew? Check the road toll, mate. There's more cars killing pedestrians than cyclists killing pedestrians. So get a life, Steve. You're dead to me. And also, get 20 cents, call someone who cares.
it's a cheap phone call. That's all we have time for TriCafe today. Been a big one, Mitch. Let's all take a deep breath. If you've got any suggestions or feedback, make sure you hit us up at firstoffthebike.com, and we'll be giving away copies of the book Going Long by Gordo Byrne and Joe Friel for those who can throw us a good suggestion.
You stay classy in the city of Kingston.